Hello YouTube, welcome to the channel. Now then, why have we got our Zroad Comet Racer on the desk? Well, if you cast your minds back, if you watched a previous video, I was desperately trying to get this thing to go 50 miles an hour. Almost got there. I think we got like 46, 47 miles an hour out of it, but on its standard setting, on these standard tyres, it was so difficult to control. I mean, it was on 4S. As soon as you put the power down, it just donutted on the road and ended up spinning out. It was so difficult to control. It was an absolute nightmare. And plus, we basically, I don't know if you can see there, basically trashed the tyres. I didn't want these tyres anyway, to be honest. They're no good for speed runs. I was trying to get a set of foams. Couldn't find a set of foams in the right size because they're a funny internal diameter of the rim. Anyway, I just sort of gave up and it started to gather dust on the shelf. But the other day, I did make a point of repairing the body shell. There was a video about that. And I sort of started making inroads to put this thing back on the road, and basically all I wanted to do is I wanted it to go 50 miles an hour. So I ended up getting some more tyres, which I've got to glue them onto the rims. These are the correct internal diameter. They are larger than the originals, so we're going to have to do some bodywork modifications. But this extra diameter will obviously help gear this thing up. So it might just do it on 3S, I don't know. Well, bought some new tyres. A mate of mine, with regards to the stability issue, he's got a inline steering gyro. He said, why don't you try that? Put that in line between obviously the receiver and the steering servo, and this should give you a gyro effect. So hopefully, between all of these things, put the car back on the road, hopefully with the steering gyro and the tyres, we might actually be able to get this thing to go in a straight line long enough for it to do 50 miles an hour. So that's precisely what we're going to do today. This thing, hopefully, by the time I finish, is going to do 50 miles an hour. Now, it's not got a very hot kV motor in it. I think it's 3300 kV, but on 4S, it absolutely screams. So it might even, like I say, it might even do it on 3S. So hopefully, with the gyro, with the new tyres, modifying the body, and our 150 amp Surpass Hobby 4S ESC here, hopefully we're going to crack that 50 miles an hour. Right then, while I'm waiting for the glue to dry on the tyres, I thought I'd have a quick play with this gyro, and honestly it could not be simpler to install this thing. You basically plug a lead that is provided in the box from the receiver into the gyro, I suppose as your power feed and feed for the steering, and then you literally just plug the servo into the other port marked servo, and that's it, jobs are good. And if I turn him on, you can actually see this thing working. I don't know if that's any better. If I wiggle that, I don't know if you can hear the servo working, or even if I tap the box. So there we go, we've got a gyro in the car, and that was like 5-minute job. Obviously when it's stuck down, it's going to turn this thing off a minute, it's a bit loud. Obviously you've got to stick it down, and when it's stuck down it's going to be a lot more effective. But there you go, 5 minutes in, we've got a gyro in the car. Now, before we take the gyro out on the road, there is a couple of other steps we have to go through, one of which is to set the servo limits on the little black box here. That seems fairly straightforward, and the other is to select what it calls our gain modes, which are basically sets of parameters depending on the sort of track you're going to be using. Now I think we're going to want H mode, which is a long straight distance track. We're pretty much going to be going in a straight line, so that will probably give us like a minimum amount of interference by the gyro, but just enough hopefully to keep this thing from swapping ends. Anyway, that's for later on in the video. Let's try these tyres. Right, the glue's pretty much dry on the tyres. I've just put them on. Unfortunately, the inner rim still rubs on the suspension linkages, but luckily I had these little, I think they're 15mm extensions or 20mm extensions, and they seem to have done the trick, because it all sort of clears the steering gear now, and it's sort of giving it a wider track as well, which hopefully might just give it a little bit more stability. So I'm just going to perform the same thing on the rear, and then we're laughing. Then we need to trim this body, because obviously these large diameter tyres will foul the bodywork. So I'm not looking forward to it, because I think it's going to end up looking like a bit of a dog's dinner if I do it. But I need to trim some of these wheel arches out and see how we get on. But it's getting there slowly but surely. Anyway, carry on. Right, I've trimmed all the bodywork, and to be honest, I've not done too bad of a job considering the only pair of scissors I've got are these great big kitchen ones. I've also trimmed up the controller. I've reduced the end points for the servo, so it was touching the bodywork a little bit, but I've just moved the end points slightly and got rid of that. So we're pretty much rocking and rolling really. I think I'm probably gonna have a couple of little 2S shakedown runs to make sure everything works, but the gyro is doing its thing, so fingers crossed. 50 mile an hour, here we come. Right, then we're outside, Speedo strapped on. We've got a nice big straight road here. 2S, let's try it on that first, make sure nothing explodes.
A few inches later.
This is called the walk of shame. Ollie hasn't got very tight nuts, apparently.
Well, there you go. Anyway, that was short and sweet. Wheels broke. What a load of crap these are. Right, back inside, I'm just having a quick look at these wheels. I mean, as you can see, the centre portion on this one's completely disintegrated. The worst bit about it is I'm not 100% sure whether it's the wheel itself or it's something I've done. I mean, there are a couple of the other wheels, hang on, they've got little cracks in them as well, so I'm not sure if it's a manufacturing defect. I did use a bit of thread lock and a bit of WD-40 last night on various bits and pieces, and whether or not that's affected the plastic in any way I do not know, but I didn't even get 20 yards down the road before it disintegrated. So anyway, back to the drawing board. I'm toying whether to use this set of Eachine wheels I've got, but I'm not sure whether they'll be suitable or not. So anyway, back to the drawing board. Right, enough messing around. I've put my spare Eachine EC30B wheels on this thing. I've put the 150 amp ESC in it. We're going to run 4S, see what happens. Right, then we're outside again. We're going to try again 4S. Let's see what happens.
Brake, brake.
47.6. Oh, this is going to be one of them, isn't it? It's going to like incrementally do that top. .4. Oh. Oh. 48.4.
Come on.
Okay there, mate, go there. Right, where are we? 49.6, that's near as damn it to 50 miles an hour. That's a new PB for the channel. I've got to be happy with that. Unfortunately though, we broke it. Right then, back inside, and we were so close, 49.6 miles an hour. If that had read 50, I would have been happy. I could have drawn a line under this episode in my life and moved on. I could have retired this thing, we could have put it on a shelf, and every now and again I could have pointed at it to my grandkids and said, oh, that does 50 miles an hour, that truck. But no, 49.6 miles an hour. I mean, it is closer to 50 than 49, granted, but oh, it's just not 50 on the screen, is it? So we're going to have another go. Now, I'm not sure which direction to take this thing in. I have got a higher kV motor that I could stick in it, but I am tempted to use some higher C batteries because I think that would probably do it. Now, we were getting some range issues, and I think it was because the one end of the road we were using was a great big mobile phone tower, and as we were getting sort of near to it, the car would literally veer off into the curb, and that would be it for that run that way in that direction. So it did improve when we walked sort of 50 metres further up the road, but it didn't disappear completely in that direction. But I reckon if we've got a longer run with this thing and some higher C batteries, I reckon we crack 50 with it, and then that'll be it. So what have we learnt today? Well, I've learnt that the little gyro my mate lent me was an absolute godsend. I mean, it really did make a big difference to that straight line running. I mean, this thing is on 4S. If you put the power down too early, it literally pirouettes and spins out. but the gyro did a great job of sort of keeping it straight. I learned that the wheels that I specifically bought for this were absolute junk, and I've learned that these Eachine EC30B wheels are absolutely mint. They are tough as old boots. I mean, I curbed them God knows how many times, and literally the tread is mostly still intact, even though this thing will literally spin its wheels if you give it the beans. Even if it's doing like 30-40 miles an hour, you give it the beans and it'll just literally even though it's got a tiny little motor, well, a 3300 kV motor, you know, on 4S it'll still spin all of its wheels. So these wheels and tyre combination, this wheel and tyre combination has proved quite robust. And talking of robust, this RC, I mean, this bonsai built Zroad Comet, I mean, the thing is absolutely indestructible. I must have slammed it because we were having that little bit of an issue with rear-range and interference. Every time it went down the one end of the road, I mean, it was going full chat, it slammed it into the curb God knows how many times. And the thing is, apart from it pulled the threads out, the thing is absolutely 100% intact. I mean, one of the shocks is leaking, but they're aftermarket ones that I've put on. But apart from this thing takes an absolute pounding, and it is still in one piece, and I am genuinely impressed with the build quality of these bonsai RCs. I can't believe actually they haven't sold more of them, but this thing just absolutely takes an absolute beating. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there, but I'm not finished with this thing. I won't be satisfied until that thing reads 5.0. So we will be back at some point. Anyway, if you found this video of some use and interest, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you're feeling that way inclined, hit that subscribe button for more similar future content. And before we go, big thank you to Mr. Tomley, who originally supplied this truck to the channel. I am getting the use out of it, you're right. So anyway, once again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you again very soon. Thank you.